60,000 points. That's what one guy used to book a business class flight to Paris. I'm talking one of those lie flat seats, champagne before takeoff, a meal that actually tastes like food. The whole experience was worth over $3,000. Meanwhile, his buddy has the same credit card, the same number of points, and he used those 60,000 points in the travel portal, and he got a round-trip economy seat to Denver, middle seat, no legroom, a bag of pretzels. The same points, the same card, but wildly different trips. The difference? One of them knew about transfer partners, the other one didn't. And today, I'm going to make sure you're the first guy in that story. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to The Points Rookie. I'm Lane, and this is the podcast that takes you from clueless to confident in the world of credit card points and miles. And if you're brand new here, welcome. You found the right show. I have built Points Rookie for people who are just getting started out. No crazy language without explanation, no assumptions, just real practical tips from a regular guy who figured this game out and is still learning. And quite frankly, I can't stop talking about it. Seriously, ask anyone who knows me. And if you've been with me since the beginning, welcome back. Today is a big one. And I'm not saying that because I say it every single episode. I'm saying it because this episode is genuinely the moment everything starts to click. But before we get into that, I want to do a quick recap on where we've been so far, because today's episode builds directly on something that we covered just a couple of weeks ago, and that's bank travel portals. And if you haven't listened to that episode yet, I'd really encourage you to go back and check that one out as well. It's going to make everything today land a whole lot better. So let's set the stage. And if you've been following along, you know that when you earn credit card points, you've got options on how to use them. And one of those options, the one that we talked about in the bank travel portal episode, is booking travel directly through your bank's built-in travel tool. Remember, Chase has Chase Travel, Amex has Amex Travel, Capital One has their own portal, so does Bilt, so does Citi. And they all work basically the same way. You log in, you search for flights or hotels, and you can pay with your points instead of cash. And here's what makes portals so appealing, especially when you're just starting out. It's because they're simple. They work like booking anything else online. You don't need to create a new account. You don't need to understand airline loyalty programs. You just use your points like money. That's genuinely useful. I want to be clear about that. Travel portals are not bad. For certain trips, cheap domestic flights, last-minute bookings, straightforward hotel stays, the portal might actually be the right move. We'll talk about when that's true later in this episode as well. But here's what nobody tells you when you first get a rewards card. Travel portals have a ceiling, and that ceiling is lower than you might think. Here's how portals work under the hood. When you use your points in a travel portal, your bank converts your points into a fixed dollar value. With a Chase Sapphire Preferred, that's about 1.25 cents per point. So 100,000 points gets you about $1,250 in travel. That's solid. That's real money towards a real trip. But what if those same 100,000 points could be worth $2,000 or $3,000 or in some cases $4,000 or $5,000? That's not a fantasy. That's what a transfer partner can do. And that's what today's episode is all about. So if you've been feeling good about what you've learned so far, and you should be, get ready, because today is where the game goes from interesting to life-changing. Let me make sure we're all on the same page about how travel portals actually work. Even if you've listened to the portal episode, a quick recap is going to set everything up that comes next. So when you earn points on a travel credit card, those points live inside your bank's reward system. Remember, Chase Ultimate Rewards, Amex Membership Rewards, and so on. Whatever program your card earns, that's where your points sit. The travel portal is your bank's own little travel agency. It's built right into your account. You search for flights, hotels, rental cars, and instead of paying with your credit card, you pay with your points. The bank converts your points at a fixed rate and covers the cost. Think of it like a gift card. You've got a gift card to a specific store, and you can spend it on anything that store sells. It's easy, it's convenient, and it works. Now, here's where the analogy gets important. A gift card to a department store is only worth face value at that store. A $100 gift card gets you $100 worth of stuff. No more, no less. The portal works the exact same way. Your points are worth exactly what the bank says that they're worth. Usually, 1 point equals $1. And in the case of Chase Sapphire Preferred or Reserve, it may be 1.25 or 1.5 cents. There really are not many exceptions, and that's fine until you realize that there's another option where that same point might be worth 2 cents or 3 cents or more. So when does the portal make sense? Here's my honest take. For cheap domestic flights, say a flight under $300, the portal often makes sense. The math works out close enough that the simplicity may be worth it. You're not leaving a ton of value on the table. If a hotel isn't part of a loyalty program that transfers from your bank, the portal might be your best option. But for premium travel, business class flights, luxury hotels, international trips, bucket list destinations, the portal almost never wins. The difference in value is just too big. And by the end of today's episode, you're going to start to understand exactly why. That's the ceiling that I mentioned. Travel portals are a good starting point, but they are a starting point. They are not the finish line. And here's a beginner trap that I see constantly, and I want you to hear this very clearly. People earn points for months, sometimes years. They've got 50,000 points, 100,000 points. And when they finally decide to use them, they just go straight to the portal, book whatever looks good, and they call it a day. They don't even know that there's another way. And that's not their fault. It's because nobody's telling them that. The bank certainly isn't advertising it because the portal is more profitable for them than transfer partners are. But now you know that there is another way, and the other way is in many respects better. So let's talk about that. So here's the deal. Your bank's points don't have to stay inside your bank system. They can travel, literally. Transfer partners are airlines and hotels that have agreements with your bank to accept your points directly. And instead of booking through the bank's portal at a fixed rate, you move your points out of your bank account and into an airline or hotel's loyalty program. And inside those programs, your points are often worth significantly more. So let me use an analogy because this is one of those concepts that clicks the moment that you picture it the right way. So say your bank's points are like cash in a basic checking account. In that account, $1 is always worth $1. It's simple, predictable, and capped. But what if you could move that money into an investment that sometimes doubles or triples in value? The dollar you put in might come out worth $2 or $3 depending on how you use it. There's a little more to learn, but the upside is dramatically higher. That's the difference between the portal and using transfer partners. They're the same points going in, but potentially much more value coming out. Now let's talk specifics because you need real numbers, not just concepts. The Chase Sapphire Preferred, one of the best beginner travel cards out there and one that I frequently mention as a great starter card, has currently 10 airline transfer partners and 4 hotel transfer partners. All of them transfer at a 1-to-1 ratio. That means a Chase point becomes 1 airline mile or 1 hotel point. No weird conversion math, no fees, just 1 for 1. And those airline partners include United, Southwest, JetBlue, British Airways, Air France, KLM, Virgin Atlantic, Singapore Airlines, Iberia, Aer Lingus, Air Canada. You get it. There's quite a few. And the hotel partners, think of Hyatt, IHG, Marriott, and Wyndham. Now, I just rattled off a lot of names, and if some of those don't mean anything to you yet, that's totally fine. By the time that we're done with this, and I'm going to break this really into a 3-part series because that's how important transfer partners are. So once we're done with the 3-part series, the ones that matter most for beginners are going to start to be very clear. So for today, just understand that the menu is bigger than you probably thought it was. Here's the other thing I want you to know about transfer partners. They're not just a Chase thing. Amex has 17 airline partners and 3 hotel partners. Capital One has a solid lineup. Bilt has a growing lineup as well. And they're building one of the most impressive transfer partner lists in the game. So no matter which bank you actually are using, if it earns transferable points, which is the key, transfer partners are going to be available to you. But, and this matters a lot for beginners, Not every card from every bank unlocks travel partners. So stay with me here because this can trip people up. With Chase, for example, you need what's called a premium Chase card to access transfer partners directly. The Sapphire Preferred, the Sapphire Reserve, or the Ink Business Preferred. If you only have a Freedom card or a Freedom Flex or a Freedom Unlimited, you can still earn great points, but you can't transfer them directly on their own. Here's the smarter move if you have a Freedom card. You can combine your Freedom points with your Sapphire points inside the Chase system and then transfer from the Sapphire account. It's the same points, you're just going to pull them together. It's one extra step, but it's completely worth it. And this is why I talk so much about having the right card combination. The points you earn on a basic card can be unlocked for full transfer partner value if and only if you've got the right card in your wallet alongside it. It's not complicated. It just takes knowing the rule. I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't say this right here. Credit cards, as you know, are powerful tools when you use them the right way, but the only way this works is if you pay your balance in full every single month and every time. No exceptions. This game is not worth paying high interest rates. That interest will erase every dollar of value you earn in rewards and then some. Pay it off every month. Say it with me. Every month. Now that you know what transfer partners are, let me show you what they actually do to the value of your points. Let's run the numbers side by side because this is the moment where most people's jaw begin to drop a little bit. Say you've got 50,000 Chase points. That's a pretty solid pile of points. Say that 3 times fast. Pretty solid pile of points. Pretty solid pile of points. All right, I'm glitching a bit. All right, here we go. So you've got 50,000 Chase points. Here's what those points can do depending on how you use them. In the Chase Travel Portal with the Sapphire Preferred, those 50,000 points are worth somewhere around $625 in travel. That covers a decent flight or a couple of hotel nights. Really not bad at all. Now transfer those same 50,000 points to World of Hyatt, one of Chase's hotel partners, and a Hyatt Category 4 property runs about 15,000 points per night. So 50,000 points gets you 3 nights at a solid Hyatt hotel. And depending on the property, that's a stay that would cost you $900 to $1,200 in cash. Same 50,000 points, but a much better outcome. But here's where it really gets interesting. Transfer those 50,000 points to an airline partner instead. Something like Air France and KLM's Flying Blue program. They often run promotions several times a year where business class flights to Europe are available for 60,000 miles round trip, sometimes less. So 50,000 points won't get you there on your own, but add in a few months of regular spending on your Sapphire Preferred, and you're really close. And a business class flight to Paris in cash money, that's $3,000, $4,000, and sometimes $5,000. So your 50,000 points just became part of a redemption worth multiple thousands of dollars. The portal would have given you $625. That's the ceiling I was talking about. The portal caps your value. Transfer partners blow the ceiling out. Now, I want to be honest with you here because that's what Points Rookie is all about. Transfer partners are not magic. You have to know where to look, what programs work best for which trips, and how to confirm availability before you transfer. So there is a little bit more to learn, but here's the thing, it's not that much more. And the episodes coming up in the series are going to walk you through exactly how to do it for hotels and for flights, one step at a time. Today, the job is to just understand what transfer partners are and why they really matter. And I think you're really starting to get that now. But before we get into what's in other people's wallets, because I've got a story that's going to make all of this very real, very fast, there's one rule I absolutely cannot skip, and that's that transfers are a one-way street. When you move your points from Chase into an airline or hotel loyalty program, they are gone from your Chase account forever. You cannot undo it. You cannot get them back. The transfer is permanent, which means if you transfer 50,000 points to Hyatt, and then you find out the hotel that you wanted isn't available to book with points, that means you're stuck with 50,000 Hyatt points you weren't ready to use. So the golden rule, and this is a game-breaking mistake if you ignore it, is never transfer your points until you have confirmed that the flight or the hotel room you want is actually available to book with points. And here's exactly how to do it right. Step 1, search for the award you want in the airline or hotel's website or app. Find the flight or hotel. Confirm it shows up as available with points. Confirm you like the price in points. Then and only then do you log into your bank account and transfer. Most transfers from Chase, Amex, and Capital One are instant. Your points show up in the airline or hotel within a few minutes. So there is zero reason to transfer early. Wait until you're ready to book. Search first, confirm availability, then transfer. Write that on a sticky note, put it in your phone notes, tattoo it on your forehead, whatever you got to do. Search first, confirm, then transfer. Okay, let's talk about what's in other people's wallets. And in this story, this is about what is going to be in other people's wallets. So I've got a friend, good guy. He and his wife have been talking about taking an anniversary trip, something a little special, a little romantic, somewhere warm, maybe with a beach, umbrella drinks, the kind of place where you don't have to think about the bill every single time that you order something. Yep, one of those all-inclusives. And he's been looking at the Chase Sapphire Preferred card. He saw the current sign-on bonus is 75,000 points, and he's trying to figure out if it's worth it. So he does the mental math the way most people do. 75,000 points, that's probably like $750 worth of travel if I use the bank portal, right? And look, he's not wrong. At 1 cent per point, 75,000 points is $750. At the Chase Sapphire Preferred's boosted portal rate of 1.25 cents per point, you're looking at around $937, rounded up. It's about $900 in the portal. For a nice all-inclusive resort, let's say maybe Cancun or Jamaica, you're probably looking at a week-long stay somewhere that's going to cost you around $3,000 to $4,000 for 2 people. So $900 in a portal value gets him maybe 25 to 30% of the trip covered. He's still writing a big check out of his pocket. And that math, $900 towards a $4,000 trip, isn't exactly inspiring. It's helpful, but I would not say it's exactly what we're trying to achieve here. But here's what changes when you factor in the minimum spend. To earn that 75,000 point bonus, he's got to spend $5,000 on the card. That spending also is earning points. So at 3 points per dollar at restaurants, 2 points per dollar on travel, and 1 point per dollar on everything else, that's conservatively estimate, let's say he earns around 10,000 additional points just for hitting the minimum spend. So now he's not sitting on 75,000 points, he's sitting on about 85,000 points, and now the math starts to really click. Because those 85,000 points aren't just worth $850 in the portal. To a transfer partner, they become something completely different. The Sapphire Preferred transfers 1-to-1 to World of Hyatt. Hyatt has a family of all-inclusive resorts, the Ziva properties for families, and the Zilara properties for adults only, in places like Cancun, Los Cabos, Jamaica, and more. These are gorgeous, full-service resorts where everything, the food, the drinks, and most activities are included in your stay. And through the World of Hyatt, those properties can book from anywhere from 15,000 to 25,000 points per night, everything included. So 85,000 points at 20,000 points per night, right in the middle of that range, that's 4 nights at an all-inclusive resort where everything is covered. Every meal, every drink, every sunset margarita on the beach is included. And a 4-night all-inclusive stay for 2 people at that kind of resort in cash, we're talking somewhere between $2,500 and $4,000 easily. Maybe more depending on the property and the time of the year that you want to go. So my friend was looking at that sign-up bonus and saying $900, but the real value through a transfer partner is nearly fully covered anniversary trip. The same card and the same points, a completely different vacation, and that's the moment that I could see the light click. And I'm hoping it's doing the same thing for you right now. We're going to go deep on exactly how those Hyatt redemptions work, which properties, how to search availability, how to stack value in the next episode. That's more of the focus on transfer partners with hotels. And trust me, you don't want to miss that as well. But right now, let me point you towards something that can help you figure out if the Sapphire Preferred is even the right card for you to start with. Because here's the thing. My friend's situation, chasing a sign-up bonus to fund a specific trip, is a great strategy. But the right card for that strategy depends on your spending habits, your travel goals, and where you are in the points and miles journey. That's exactly what the Points Rookie Card Match tool is built for. It is a free tool that I built, that walks you through the same questions that I would ask if you came to me for advice. How do you spend your money? How much money do you spend? What categories of spending do you do? Those are the kinds of questions that I begin to ask. And it's really simple. It's point and click. And it points you toward the cards that make the most sense for your situation. There's no guessing. There's nothing to be overwhelmed about. You're not looking at 17 different credit cards on a spreadsheet comparing annual fees. It's just a simple tool to help you make your first decision. And so if today's episode is making you think, okay, I want a card that earns transferable points, that tool is the next step. It's, again, 100% free. You can find it in the show notes, or you can find it on my website at pointsrookie.com. Go check it out and then come right back because we're not done quite yet. Okay, so I'm hoping that you went and at least looked at that tool. If not, please do it after the show. I think you're really going to find some benefit from it. But let's begin to level up a bit more. You now understand what transfer partners are. You know the one-way street rule, which means that once you transfer to a partner, you can't get those points back. You've seen the math on what they can actually do for a real trip. Now let's zoom out and look at the big picture, because transfer partners aren't just a Chase thing. This is an ecosystem, and understanding how it's structured is going to make you a much smarter player. Here are the 5 major players in the transferable points world: Chase, American Express, Capital One, Citi, and Bilt. Every one of those programs lets you earn points on their credit cards and then transfer those points to airline and hotel partners. Chase Ultimate Rewards, we've talked about Chase the most today because the Sapphire Preferred is such a great beginner card. And we've talked about the number of partners that Chase has with the all 1-to-1 point transfer ratio. It's a strong program. It's beginner friendly. It's my personal favorite for most people who are just starting out. Then you've got American Express membership rewards, and Amex actually has the most transfer partners of any program. 17 airlines, 3 hotels, and some of the best redemption opportunities in the entire game live inside the Amex ecosystem. Cards like the Amex Gold and the Amex Platinum earn membership rewards. And if you're serious about points and miles, Amex is eventually going to be part of your strategy. We have Capital One Miles, so the Capital One used to be more of a portal-focused program, but they've been aggressively building out their transfer partner lineup. They now have over 15 transfer partners, including Air Canada and Avianca. And they recently added Japan Airlines, which opens up some incredible redemption options. Capital One is worth paying attention to, and quite frankly, outside of Chase, I'm really digging some Capital One transfer partners. And then you've got Citi Thank You Points, and Citi has a solid but smaller lineup of transfer partners. They're a good option, and they partner with some airlines the other programs don't, which gives you additional flexibility. The Citi Strata Premier is their main mid-tier card for earning, what they would call their Thank You Points. And then there's Bilt Rewards. Bilt's kind of a newcomer that's been making a lot of noise, and for good reason. Bilt lets you earn points on rent and mortgage, which is something no other program does. If you're paying rent every month, you're sitting on an earning opportunity that most people are completely ignoring. Bilt's transfer partner list is impressive, and it is growing. It's worth taking a serious look if you're a renter. Now, I will just say I don't have a Bilt card quite yet, but it's definitely cards that I'm looking at for the future. It's part of my strategy. Now, here's the beginner trap that comes with having all of these options in front of you. And that is analysis paralysis. You start thinking about all 5 programs. You start wondering which one is best. You start comparing annual fees and partner lists and redemption values. And before you know it, you spent 3 weekends reading blog posts and you still haven't applied for a single card. Don't do that. The smarter move, especially when you're starting out, is just to pick one ecosystem. Learn it well and earn your first meaningful redemption, then expand. Chase is where I would start most people. The Sapphire Preferred is approachable, the transfer partners are excellent, and the beginner learning curve is manageable. Start simple, then scale. That's the Points Rookie way. One more thing I want you to understand before we wrap up this teaching section, and that's transfer bonuses. A few times a year, banks run promotions where they offer a bonus when you transfer to a specific partner. So instead of the standard 1-to-1 ratio, you might get a 25% bonus. Transfer 1,000 Chase points to Air Canada Aeroplan during a bonus window, and you get 1,250 Aeroplan miles instead of 1,000. Right now, at the time of me recording this, Chase is running a 20% transfer bonus to Air Canada Aeroplan and a 70% bonus to IHG through the end of April. Now, a word of caution on the IHG bonus, because this is exactly the kind of thing that sounds great until you start to do the math. A 70% bonus sounds incredible, right? But IHG points are worth significantly less than Chase points. It's like getting 70% more of something that's worth less to begin with. The math doesn't always work in your favor just because the bonus percentages look big. This is why I always say track these bonuses on sites like Frequent Miler or the Points Guy. There's lots of tools out there, but don't just chase these big percentages. Make sure the underlying redemption is actually worth it first. Transfer bonuses are like a coupon. A coupon is only a good deal if you were already going to buy that thing. Don't transfer to a program just because there's a bonus. Transfer when you've got a redemption ready and the bonus just sweetens the deal. All right, folks, let's start to land this plane, no pun intended. Here's what you know now that you didn't know at the start of this episode. Travel portals are useful, but they have a ceiling. Your points are worth a fixed amount and nothing more. They're great for simple trips, cheap domestic flights, and hotels that don't have transfer partner options. Use them when the math makes sense. When you move your points from your bank account into an airline or hotel loyalty program, those same points can be worth 2, 3, or even 5 times more than the portal would ever give you. The 5 major transferable point programs are Chase, Amex, Capital One, Citi, and Bilt. Chase is where most beginners should start. All 5 programs transfer to their partners most of the time, not all the time, at a 1-to-1 ratio. 1 point in equals 1 point or mile out. The math is usually pretty simple. Transfers are permanent, one way, no refunds, which means you never transfer until you've confirmed the award is available to book. Search first, confirm availability, then transfer. Transfer bonuses happen a few times a year. They can add real value, but only if the underlying redemption is worth it. Don't chase bonuses blindly. And if you're trying to figure out which card to get to start earning transferable points, check out my card match tool in the show notes or pointsrookie.com. That's where you can go find it. Again, totally free. All right, I want to come back to where we started. Remember the 2 guys had the same card, same 60,000 points. One goes to Paris in business class. The other one gets the middle seat to Denver and a bag of pretzels. The difference between those 2 outcomes wasn't luck. It's not about being a finance genius or spending hours studying spreadsheets. It's just knowing that the game has 2 modes, portal mode and transfer partner mode, and knowing when to play which one. You now know that. Most people don't. And here's what I really want you to feel walking away from this episode. You are not behind. You are not too late. The people who figured this out first didn't have some advantage you don't have. They just had the information that you now have. My friend who's looking at the Sapphire Preferred, he's not a points expert. He's just a regular guy trying to take his wife somewhere special on their anniversary. But now he knows that 75,000 point sign-up bonus isn't just $900 in the portal. It's a real shot at an anniversary trip that could cost him $4,000. That's what this information does. It doesn't just save money on travel. It changes what feels possible. And we're just getting started. Next episode, we're going to go deep on hotel transfer partners, which programs give you the best value, how to search for award availability, how to book an all-inclusive resort for nearly nothing in cash, and the changes that just happened in one of the best hotel loyalty programs that every beginner needs to know about right now. It's going to be a really good one. That's a wrap on this episode, guys. Thanks for spending this time with me. Seriously, I know you've got a lot of things competing for your attention, and I don't take it lightly that you chose to spend it here. If this episode clicked for you, or if something finally made sense that hasn't before, do me a favor, share it. Send it to one person you know who's been ignoring the points on their credit card. Text it to a friend who's been booking travel without ever looking at their rewards balance. This is the kind of information that can genuinely change how someone's family travels, and the more people who hear it, the absolute better. And if you want help figuring out which card makes the most sense for you just starting to earn transferable points, check out the card match tool on the website. The free tool, simple questions, clear answer. Find it in the show notes or pointsrookie.com. You can always come find me on Instagram or TikTok at pointsrookie. And if today's episode raised a question for you or you want me to walk through a specific scenario, send me a message. I read every single one. Okay, folks, y'all are getting sharper. You're getting more confident. And you are one step closer to booking a trip you thought you couldn't afford. Keep learning, keep earning, and remember, we're going from clueless to confident together. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you on the next episode.